Welcome, everybody, to SLOconf Day 2. I'm Kit Merker, and I'm here with my co-host, Erza.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
How was SLOconf Day 1 for you, Erza?
It was awesome. I got the chance to catch on so many talks. I had watched some of them prior, but it was awesome to see all the conversations going on the Slack channel and to see everyone pet pictures. So yeah, it was a great day.
Lots of good pet pictures yesterday. I got to do a little bit of I tried to do the late shift last night and check in on our Asia Pac friends, but everybody was pretty quiet. So I'm hoping tonight I'll be back online. But okay, let's get into it. So first of all, we got a fun stand up today. We'll get right into the meat of it. But first,
I would like to start by thanking our SLO official sponsors. We have a great list of companies that have made a great contribution to SLOconf. I'm incredibly proud of all our sponsors, and please feel free to check out their Slack channels and say hello to them.
Yeah, that's right. The Slack channels with the sponsors is a good spot to go. Say hello, say thank you at least, and tell them why you're here at SLOconf, and remind them they should be back next year for sure. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So what we had yesterday, we had all the different talks. What do we have? 9 hours of content that's been dropped on everybody. And I know that there's been a lot of questions about where do I start? What do I do? So we're going to give people more ideas of where to start today. We had some news yesterday. Or so what did we drop yesterday in terms of news?
So we had Brian Singer from Noble 9 join, and Brian shared the State of Service Level Objective Survey, which I will share in the chat right now. Check out the survey. It was really awesome to see the results. We'll be sharing them on social media, on LinkedIn and Twitter, but feel free to check it out for yourself. And
the video from yesterday's stand-up is available as well for people who missed it. So we can share that. And don't forget, there's another stand-up tomorrow and on Thursday. We'll have our closing ceremony stand-up on Thursday as well. So that's there. And then, oh yeah, the pictures. Everybody's been sharing pet pictures. I think maybe this would be called PetConf. I don't know. We have so many pet pictures in the Slack.
For sure.
Yeah. So, okay. So everybody got to do all that stuff. Let's remind everyone how to SLOconf. So here we are, daily stand-up. Okay, check. We got that one. Second is if you're not in the Slack channel, you need to be in the Slack channel. That's where all the action is. A lot of discussion happening in general as well as in the other channels. So that's an important one. So say hello there, introduce yourself, and get to it. Videos, we talked about that already. So there's lots of videos to watch. And don't forget about the hands-on labs. We also have 3 hands-on labs that are available. So you can actually try stuff out yourself, not just consume content, but actually try to make your own SLOs. And let's see, we also have a schedule. And everybody keeps asking us for the agenda, the schedule to the event. I know it's so weird that there really isn't a schedule, but we did our best. And we also, I think there was a huge debate. I know programmers are big fans of debating over time and time zones. So we got these finally, I think, correct now that it's, Pacific time, Eastern time, Greenwich Mean Time, and Central European time. Here's where the stand-ups are happening, and then 4 things you can do the rest of the time. I think we've made that pretty clear. So we'll keep going. All right. Oh, so some talks. Erza, so you picked 4 more talks for us today. What do we got?
Yes. So I wanted to start with SLOs for everyone. This is actually one of my so far favorite talks at SLOconf. For someone as me who doesn't really have an engineering background or come from tech from the beginning, I love talks that are from people outside of the industry, because SLOs are everywhere. We know that. And having this confirmed at SLOconf is really great. So Jen Robertson will be join us at SLOconf. She's a speech therapist in Brooklyn, in New York, and she talks about how she uses SLOs in everyday life at work. And then we have John Wills, who talks about how he hates OKRs. So that's also a very good talk. And this is within the track of SLO fundamentals. And then Robert Ross, within the track of the future of SLOs, talks about why you should probably alert on SLOs. And we have Liz Fong-Jones, who will be talking about evaluating event-based SLOs at scale. And this is within the track of SLO stories. So check them out. So many good talks, but if you don't know where to start today, this is a good start for sure.
This is a great set. Yeah, I watched the speech therapy one as well, and it's really quite profound. The way of thinking about goals and the impact, and not just doing things for the sake of doing things is great. So, yeah, cool, great. These are a great place to start for people who are not sure where to go. And, definitely go into the track channels and tell people what you thought. And if you liked it or didn't like it, or you have questions, comments, whatever, everybody's very open to that discussion, and let's get some debate going. I think everybody wants to get into the meat of the discussion here about different opinions on SLOs and error budgets and OKRs and alerting and all the other fun stuff. So there we go. Okay. Well, now to the main event, and we're going to talk about OpenSLO. Now, today, we've got a great group of people here. Carrie Mellick, who's also from Noble 9, she's an SRE here at Noble 9, is going to moderate our panel of OpenSLO contributors. And we made a big announcement today, a couple big announcements today. I won't steal the thunder too much, but I will say that OpenSLO is 1.0. So if you folks want to put your cameras on now, let's see if everyone's here. Okay, great. So Urs and I are going to go fade into the mist for a second and let Carrie take it away.
Thanks, guys. Hi, everyone. This is super exciting. This is my first time moderating, which I'm really excited about too. We've got a really awesome panelists here, so let's just get into it because I know we don't have a lot of time. But Andrew, let's start with you. For people who don't know, can you tell us a little bit about what OpenSLO is?
Sure, Kerry. So OpenSLO is an effort to build a vendor-agnostic service-level monitoring standard, and it provides a way of defining SLIs, SLOs, alerts with a standard YAML schema. OpenSLO is the specification, so it's up to vendors or open source projects to consume SLOs defined with the spec and generate monitoring and alerting rules based on those definitions. It's also possible to generate things like dashboards from those definitions. And OpenSLO also includes a tool called OSLO, which is useful for validating your SLO definitions against a standard and checking that they're correct. And then one aspect that I really like about OpenSLO is that it allows companies to adopt the standard terminology for service level monitoring. For example, I work at GitLab, and we have a relatively mature SLO monitoring platform, but it predates OpenSLO. And so a lot of the terminology that we used was homegrown and proprietary. And over the last year, we've been preparing to adopt OpenSLO. And one of the benefits we've already seen is that we've managed to align on the terminology based on the spec. And that's great because the barrier of entry for new team members picking up the SLO platform is lowered. And so they can come to a conference like this and learn a little bit about SLOs, and then they can connect that with our internal concepts and the way we structure things internally. So we've seen benefits already, even though we haven't quite yet adopted OpenSLO. So OpenSLO was launched about a year ago, or exactly a year ago, at SLOconf 2021, and it's made amazing progress in the last 12 months. We've reached a major milestone. Noble 9 have released a converter. Several open source projects are consuming OpenSLO definitions, and Sumo Logic have incorporated into SLOgen.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love having like some sort of guideline to reduce friction in general of people adopting this. That's awesome. So you mentioned SLOgen, so let's bring it over to Christian then. How does SLOgen fit in with OpenSLO?
So first of all, hi everyone. So two things, right? So first on SLO, the sort of SLO methodology and in general. We actually believe that we can look at this SLO quote unquote stuff, right, as a methodology. So how should we monitor and when should we alert? And that's actually not that easy. And a lot of people have been, struggling with that for a long time, because ultimately the outcome we're looking for is reliability, right? And so why do we need reliability? Well, we all know digital transformation is kind of the defining trend in business in this century. So everything that a business does is rapidly turning into software, and so then the customers interact with your business through that software, the applications and the systems on top of which they build. And then what you're doing there basically needs to support the business 24/7 and globally. And it turns out, I think, as all of us know here, that the apps and the systems that we're building and they end up pretty complex, right? They're complex, and we have to deal with that. And then in order to get the good customer experience that we want, we need to manage the reliability. So that's kind of the framing, that I have in my mind. And so with the SLO approach, I think that we have something here, I guess, as a community that is really it's kind of a step function over sort of how monitoring has been done, classically for resource consumption and, alert when the CPU is running hot and so forth. And then, who knows whether that actually matters to a customer or not. And so that's kind of the sort of way that we're thinking about it, and also coming back to the SLOgen, and as we, basically, as we sort of articulated what I basically just said in a summary. So we started, because we're running at Sumo, we're running a very large service as well. It's 24/7, and that's available globally, and that also needs to, in an interesting kind of turtles all the way down way, support our customers in maintaining and managing their reliability. So the fact that we need to be reliable as well, right? So it's all kind of just stack on top of each other. So we actually built tooling for ourselves internally, and this is what Stefan Sear, our chief architect, is actually talking about in his talk at the conference. But then we also product people, right? And we kind of immediately knew that the methodology could also be productized and really help our customers get more efficient in managing reliability. And of course, there's others that have figured this out as well. And so then when we found out about OpenSLO, we realized that there was already a group of people that had started to formalize the methodology, or some fundamental aspects of it, or how to express it. And it was really easy for us to embrace this, because I fundamentally believe in the saying that a rising tide lifts all boats, right? And then by the way, if you're wondering, that same fundamental belief is also why we are so deeply invested in open telemetry as well. There's only so many times that the wheel can be reinvented sort of efficiently, right? And so the same mindset there, and so then we build a tool that would essentially compile an OpenSLO spec into content objects in Sumo. And so for us, that was a total no-brainer. That is, in my mind, what OpenSLO was made for. And so we did this and started getting involved in the community, and the community was and is very welcoming. Sort of, I think, kind of we learned, how to, sort of understand the specification, and we had probably, some feedback as well. And so now, SLOgen is there essentially as a compiler, right, for SLOs into sort of things that you can load into your observability tools. It works obviously for Sumo right now, but the community was interested in seeing whether, the community was basically interested in using this as a foundation to build, additional backends for it in terms of translating into other tools as well. And I'm super happy about that. I know ultimately vendors compete, but again, I think, we all benefit from coming together at the fundamental levels, and there's no point in reinventing all of these things. And so yeah, I'm super happy. Our guy Ashish worked on SLOgen. He did a fantastic job, I feel, and looks like the community, thought the same thing and is embracing it. And so now it's part of OpenSLO, and it makes me very happy.
That's awesome. Yeah, the community for OpenSLO has been really cool to watch. I've been in the OpenSLO Slack, and there's quite a bit more chatter there than I was expecting, which was cool. But Wyatt, let's bring it over to you. You've been a really active contributor in this community, actually. So can you talk about some of the stuff that you've been working on?
Yes, I've been working on a few things over the last year. So mainly, I've been trying to work on the alerting. So when OpenSLO was introduced last year, there was no ability to define your alerting rules. So that's one of the main things I concentrated on over the last year. It also now supports you to define your SLIs based on paired events and total events instead of the more standard approach of good events and bad events. And also, we have been splitting up the specification so you can define your SLIs separately from your SLOs. So that allows you to reuse your SLOs between different SLOs. So if you have like one for staging, F refinement, or production, you can reuse your SLIs. So you don't need to do a lot of copy pasting. And also we enhance the spec so you can define annotations or metadata to your SLOs and SLIs. That's the main things we have been working on. And yeah, so we released the first version of SLO spec today. So yeah, we look forward to all your feedback.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of what you've been working on has really helped with the scalability of OpenSLO. So that's really cool to hear. Mariusz, let's bring it over to you. So you're at Red Hat, right? And you guys obviously care a lot about open source. So is that kind of how you got involved in this project?
Hi. Well, I'm an SRE and a member of an internal team at Red Hat that's like tasked with enabling, facilitating, accelerating SRE practices. So obviously SLO falls under that. So my involvement with OpenSLO is more forward-looking. Like my team is looking at making recommendations, promoting tooling. So a primary requirement around SLO for stuff like this is have a format, hence OpenSLO. There's already a spec, there's existing tooling, and more on the way, as we've just heard. And there's a community already present to discuss improvements, share ideas with, brainstorm, etc. So, like, my involvement over the past half a year was primarily to just improve the spec as much as I could, so that hopefully we, as in my team, can leverage OpenSLO more easily in the future, because the spec and the community will be better for it, which is like a better idea than inventing it from scratch, which most likely would have been a lot of wasted effort by comparison as far as workload goes and time spent. And that's basically it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've definitely seen my fair share of like way too much effort and time spent trying to build this yourself. So that's awesome to hear. Let's bring it over to Ian then. So speaking of the future of this project, what are some of the areas that you want to see continued invested in, or like future plans for OpenSLO?
So well, so we're talking about where we're going. I want to, we just cut our V1 of OpenSLO, so we now have an official 1.0 release that we can put a flag in, which I think is important, because now we don't have a moving target. We now have a stable version that we can build upon and build our tooling around. And I think that's a very, big milestone for us. We can start focusing more on our integrations. We're looking at doing backstage integrations. There's somebody working on that right now within the community. Obviously with SLOgen, there's a lot more we want to build in there. We have this as an amazing foundation, as Christian was talking about. We just want to build upon that. And work on different integrations with other platforms through like transpiling, converting of the OpenSLO spec to other specs. We also want to be able to define it in other machine readable formats. Currently, we have it in GhostStructs through the OpenSLO project. Other projects like Sloth already consume that, consume those structs. But we also want to do it in JSON schema or Q. That'll also open up a lot of possibilities. Be able to have like machine validation, IDE integrations, things like that. But overall, we also want to continue refining the spec, finding the pieces that have the sharp edges and soften those down. I think right now with 1.0, we have a very solid foundation. I'm very confident where it is, but there's always room for improvement, especially as we have more people come on. And that leads to where we're continuing. The big piece we want to do is just continue to drive the community. I think especially with SLOs, as we have more use cases, more people involved, this can only get better. The more people that have gotten involved, we've been able to take their use cases, their needs, and put it into the spec and make it better and more solid for everyone. And so we really want to drive the community building. We want, if anybody's interested, I'm going to plug it later, but OpenSLO.com, it has all the links so you can get involved, join the Slack. But we also want to continue building out the tooling. We want to be able to help people integrate this into CI/CD pipelines, conversion tools. What does that look like? And that's another piece of the community building. What do people need? And do other integrations too, other platforms. That there's a lot of companies that are building SLO products. We want to be able to integrate that, help people like move around, try different things out, be the lingua franca on that. But I'll plug it again if you're interested. OpenSLO.com. has all the information, has links to the GitHub project, to OSLO, and about how to join the Slack group.
Awesome. Thanks, Ian. Well, I probably could ask you guys a million more questions. You guys are all really cool, but I don't think that we have the time for that right now. So let's maybe continue this conversation in either the OpenSLO chat or I think Kit just posted SLOconf-OpenSLO, which is in the SLOconf Slack. So if anybody wants to move this conversation over to Slack, let's do that because I've got some more questions for you guys. But thanks, everyone, and I'll hand it back to Kit.
Thanks, Carrie. Thanks, everybody. It was so awesome to hear all that and amazing progress we've made in the last year. I guess one question I have, just to kind of close out while I have the panel here, is what do you guys think about other vendors in the market adopting OpenSLO? I mean, Sumo Logic has kind of laid down the gauntlet here. I know Ian built the Noble 9 integration with OpenSLO. We have Sloth in the community that's integrated with it. Do we think other companies should do the same thing, or any advice to companies that are considering whether they should or shouldn't do this? I think maybe Christian, you have a thought on this?
Yeah, everybody has to figure out, how they want to go about things strategically, right? And then everybody comes from a different place. And but as I said, I like this idea of thinking about it as the rising tide that lifts all boats. In what we do, and so like OpenTelemetry is just really a good proxy for this. I know I'm harping on it, but I've been building tools and systems since basically 2001 that had some sort of component of it where you had to collect the freaking data and send it right to some sort of central thing, and like done it over and over and over again, and it is just not, I don't know, it's just very hard to sort of differentiate on that level, right? So it's just undifferentiated. So it's kind of a suck on your kind of efficiency. And I think in the data collection space, people have kind of like realized this, and took a lot of time for OpenTelemetry to come together. But it's essentially vendors working together, which is pretty awesome. I mean, we're sitting there like in the LogSig, for example, that's the one that I know the best, where I'm talking every week to a bunch of guys at Splunk and Elastic and New Relic, and it turns out that we're all birds of a feather, and we just want to get it over with, and make something that we can then build on top of, and show real differentiation on. And I think OpenSLO fits that perfectly. And yeah, there's like, yes, you have a specification, it can lift you up, it could also be limiting, but like I still think that you can improvise on top of it. It's a little bit like chats, right? So
yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. And as Carrie said, we'll move the conversation into the Slack. And thank you so much. And congrats to the team on the 1.0 release. That's a huge milestone. Okay, well, let's get back to the conference here. Just to thank again our SLO official sponsors. They're all amazing companies, and we're really proud to have them here. Our Slow Burn sponsors, another just awesome group. Please go say hi in their Slack channels. I know, as Jenna mentioned in the chat here, there's some giveaways, there's some contests, there's some fun conversations to be had. So go check them out and say hi. And they're also, I think, a couple of these have hands-on labs too. So definitely check those out. And thank you to our Slow Burn sponsors. And then finally, thanks again to our SLO Steady sponsors for being here as a part of SLOconf. Check them out too. Go say hi. All right. And of course, never can forget our media sponsors, the New Stack, DevOps.com, the Cloudcast, and Tfer, covering the event and putting out content. I think there should be some stuff coming soon. You'll be able to check out on the media side of things. So thanks to all of them as well. And let's get back to the conference. So thanks, everybody. And we'll turn off the recorder now and send you back to the conference. And then if there's any Q&A, we can hang out for a minute. In fact, if the panel wants to stick around for a couple minutes, we can see if there's any questions on OpenSLO. All right. Thanks. Let's slow.